Oh, welcome back to the Crave Show. Here we are again. Oh, this is awesome. With me, Chris, JRuss, and we have a special guest with us tonight, Raj. Everybody knows Raj. That's it. Right? I, how are you doing, Raj?
I'm doing good. Thank you so much for having me
Good.
today.
So a minute ago, before we started recording, I asked Raj his last name, and he told me, but then he goes, just say Raj. Everybody knows me as Raj. That's fun, man. That's cool.
Yeah.
I would wonder how many people in the community are aware of your full name.
Probably not.
Not
too
very
many.
many.
Yeah.
Okay,
Not too many.
will you? That's a good point. Say your full entire name. What's your whole name? Your given name?
Sri Raj Rajaram. So there's
Okay,
two Rajas in there, and I do brand myself quite heavily.
nice, smart. That's smart. That's smart.
And actually, he's pretty good at leaving those hats around wherever he goes.
Yeah.
Like little Hansel and Gretel or something.
I just
I'll find your way
ordered one
back
for
to
you today.
Raj. Yeah, sweet.
Maybe, dude, I need a Raj hat, man. That'd be cool. Walk around,
For
people
sure.
just start calling me Raj. Like, no, I'm not Raj. I just represent. So, Raj, where is your family originally from? What's your ancestry?
We are from India, the
India.
southern part of India,
Okay.
in a place called Chennai. It's hot. You're from Houston, I take it?
San Antonio.
Okay, so imagine Houston, just double it, double the humidity,
No
double the
way.
heat. Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh,
But it's good. It's good beach. I mean, I grew up in the heat, so the heat's good with me.
yeah.
Yeah.
Does your name have a meaning?
Yeah. So Raj in the language means king.
Okay.
So that's what it means. But the whole name has a more complicated, religious meaning.
Okay.
Yeah.
I mean, is it something? Can you
Yeah,
give us a
so my first name, Sri Raj, is king of the goddess of wealth. Sri is short for the goddess of wealth, so I'm
Okay.
supposed to be her king. And ironically, my wife is named after the goddess of wealth. So I ended up, it's a coincidence, but it's like that.
That's really neat.
Yeah, and Raja Ram, which is my last name, means king of peace.
Okay.
So
And your wife, what's her first name that has to do with
so her first name is Aishwarya, which is goddess of wealth.
That's really neat.
Yeah.
Say her name again.
Aishwarya.
That's really pretty.
Thank you.
Aishwarya.
Yeah.
That's a cool name.
She's listening right now. So hi.
Aishwarya. What a beautiful name. So did you grow up here in the United States? Did you grow up in India? Where did you grow up?
I grew up in India. I came here when I was about 20 years old for work. I started out on the east coast of the country, northeast, and then navigated my way to the Midwest in Chicago, which is where I started skydiving. Spent about 12, 13 years in the Midwest, and most of my jumping career has been at Skydive Chicago. That's where I did my student course, my tandem, as well as all the skills I've acquired have largely been at STC. And then about 7 years ago, my wife and I decided to move out west. So now we live in Seattle.
In Seattle?
Yeah.
Okay. Does she jump too?
No, she's done one tandem. She's done a couple of tunnel times, but she's good.
Yeah, that's how my wife is. Like, I've begged her to go. She went once. She's like, I'm all right. That's good.
I mean, cheaper for you guys.
Yeah, but I just dream about like skydiving with her. Like, it just sounds so awesome to get. It is. JRuss, that's got to be really cool. Like you and Steph getting to jump together all the time. Like that's pretty special, I think.
I agree. It's pretty awesome. And I mean, there's a yin and yang to life, of course. And when it's hard, it's pretty hard. Because there's kind of no escape of what we've set ourselves up with. But luckily, that hasn't been. I mean, in the 15 years we've been doing this together, those have been small amounts of time overall, but most of it's been exceptionally good. And to be able to share that passion with your other, I think it would, excuse me, for either one of us, it'd be really difficult if we weren't on a team together, because our time is so, dedicated to the team and trying to be better. Just, this is kind of the only way that we can do it, I think.
Yeah. I think that's so neat that y'all get to share that together. That's really special. That's cool.
Yeah.
Raj, can we go back to India just real quick?
Sure.
I have a very good friend from India. He lives in he and his wife live in Singapore, but they're from India, and he introduced my family and I to that movie Three Idiots.
Oh yeah.
And those guys didn't. I think two of the guys that are in the movie actually wrote it and directed it, or something like that.
Yeah, that's true.
Such a fantastic movie, JRuss.
Yeah.
If anybody listening, if you have not seen this movie, it's called. Is right? Isn't that what it's called? Three Idiots.
Three Idiots. Yeah.
It's an Indian movie, dude. It is. Oh, it's so fantastic! What a great movie. And then another one. I don't know if it's the same guys. Like Stars Among Us or something. Does that sound familiar?
Yeah. I know. Yeah, Tare. Yeah, Tare is a mean per. Yeah, it's about a kid with some challenges. Yeah.
Yes, exactly. Is that the same guys that?
One of them. One of them.
One of them. Okay.
Yeah.
And that was a great movie too. I mean, I really liked Three Idiots. Out of the two, they're both fantastic movies, but something about that movie, Three Idiots, I just really enjoyed it. Like, and it's not the title, makes you think of like Dumb and Dumber or something. It's not like that at all. It is not a goofy, silly. It's a very meaningful, good. I call that I don't call that a movie. I call it a film. Like, that's a film. Like, it's such a good story. Wow.
Yeah.
So if you have a chance, go watch it.
I'll give you a whole list of recommendations after this podcast.
Please. Yes, dude. I would love that. Yeah. Cool.
I wrote it down.
Yeah, it's great. Well, JRuss, you want to kick us off?
Yeah. So I think on our last podcast, last week or 2 weeks ago, we were talking about. I think you asked me a question of like, what can a newbie expect when they go to a record?
Yeah.
And I remember my first record and what it was like to be there, but it's been a while since then. And I think Raj heard the podcast and thought he's not the new guy anymore, like very, very well known. But for one, I think maybe in 2018, Raj was working super, super hard, like attending every camp possible and just trying to soak up as much information as he could, all the Arizona camps, all the Chicago camps, like I think maybe a South America and European camp as well. Like, just the dedication was pretty amazing to try and reach the goal of I don't even know if, I mean, of course a record would have been nice, but it certainly seemed in the aftermath of our discussions, kind of the night of the completion of the record attempts in 2018, that the goal was more about just being able to be at a skill set to participate. And so when you brought that up of like, what can a new guy reasonably expect when they go to a record, Raj heard that and thought, well, that's very fresh for his memory. Like, he was just the new guy a couple of years ago, and even as recognized as I think he is now, all those memories are pretty fresh. So we were at Steph and I held a head up camp in Florida last weekend, and he was there, and we were just chatting a little bit, and he said, "Man, I would love to just talk about what it's like to be the new guy." So, cool, man. How about next week? And so here we are. So just, I guess, as a little bit of background, or my part of the background, I think I met Raj in maybe 2016 or 15. We were back in the States in 14. So probably then, if I didn't already know you. But you were running around in an old Mandarin suit from a team called Mandarin that was based in Chicago years ago. And you loved that suit, and you wore it to everything. And yeah, we just, I think we were the new free fly team at Skydiver Chicago, and he kind of gravitated towards us and started doing our events and skills camps, and just got to be and then let's see, Raj was on a VFS team. They had a VFS team called DEFCON 1, and both Steph and I took turns coaching their team a couple times, and I think both of us stayed at your house at least once, if I've been there more than once, in Seattle. And we both had a very similar story, although I think Steph's ended up being a little bit nicer, because Steph and I are not spicy food people. And Indian people like to make food that's spicy. And I mean, not to go too much on stereotypes, but man. So anyway, I told Raj that, and his wife made, bless her heart, she made some food for me that was not spicy. And
with the air quotes, not spicy.
I think that what I needed to say was that I don't go much past ketchup.
I was gonna say his spice tolerance is ketchup.
Yeah, that's my tolerance. And so when she made it, she's like, "Oh, this is the not spicy one." So excited, and I spooned a bunch on my plate. And one bite, I was like, "Oh my god!" And she's like, "I didn't put anything in. It's not spicy at all." It's like, my mouth is on fire. That one bite is going to hurt me on the way out as well. So when Steph visited, she was set up a little bit better. So I think they got her some egg noodles with ketchup as her dinner. And she got to be actually not spicy. Yeah. And then just kind of over the years, a lot of talking. And then Raj did a project for us, which we were talking about a little bit before the podcast, and his hobby, which I'll let him explain more. But I was explaining to you that one of the things that we kind of commissioned him for was to replace the VFS trophy that was originally created by a French guy. I can't remember his name at the moment, but the design was as a Centurion shield, back in history, and it was curvy. So it looked like a shield that, back in the day, that's what they used. And it had a lion's head, carved lion's head, and then the sword, it was an actual sword, it kind of slid down through there. And if you think gladiator sword, like the swords they're fighting with, that's about
what. So was this was wooden with an actual sword?
Yeah, an actual sword.
Oh, that's cool. That sounds really cool.
It was really cool. And I mean, it is really cool. And there's, it's big. It's like 4 feet tall or something like that.
Oh, wow.
And so the French team, 4Speed, were the original 3-time world champions back to back.
Okay.
And there's a little, silver, I guess bronze colored tag that's on there with the names of the members of the team from each year that they won, 2010, 2012, 2014. And so lots of space on the shield for more teams to come in the future. So anyway, there was no case when they gave it to us. It was just like wrapped in cardboard or blankets or something. And the reason is, I found out later, is we searched for a case, but the curvy nature of the shield and then the lion's head on top meant that it was like, I needed a 48-inch case long by about 24 wide, but then I also needed about 20 inches deep. And Amazon just didn't have something that would work. And I didn't know really where else to look. So each time that we go to a meet that is that trophy is in contention, which is a world meet, we have to bring it. And so on the trip to Russia, which was an ungodly long travel day, it was like 48 hours of travel.
Oh gosh.
We wrapped it in blankets and we shipped it on the plane as part of our luggage, but no case, and it broke.
Oh man.
So something got stacked on it, of course, and it cracked right down the middle. And so we talked to Raj about redoing it, and maybe you can describe what you did, because it's pretty cool the way that he came up with.
Yeah, I have a picture of it. I'll bring it up later. But so criteria number 1, it has to fit in a box. It has to be flat and fit in a box. And they wanted to retain the sword and the lion's head. So those were the given. And what I did was I took 5 different pieces of wood from 5 different parts of the world, and I bordered the whole trophy with those 5 different pieces of wood. So you had the centerpiece was European beech wood, so representing Europe, and then bordering it was Brazilian purple heart, which is a truly purple colored wood. The wood itself is purple in color, and so that represents South America.
Okay.
And then you had American maple, so representing North America. And then you had African padauk, representing Africa. And
what is that wood? What color is it?
That is red in color. It's bright red.
Okay.
It's naturally bright red.
That's cool.
And then bordering all of that is walnut, which can be found in both Asia as well as in Americas. So I made a trophy that I thought signifies the world. It's a world
Wow.
it's a World Cup trophy, so it signifies the world, and still has the original elements left in it, the sword and the lion's head he was talking about, and most importantly, fit in a box.
Fit in a case.
Yeah.
That's really neat, Raj. That's cool, man.
And when I took it through security to give it to Jason, they obviously thought I had a gun case because it looks like a gun case.
Yeah.
And they're like, okay, can I send it through the gun? And they see this huge sword sticking out. And they're like, what's this? And I had to spend at least 20 minutes explaining it's not a weapon. It is a championship trophy.
Yeah. I mean, it is a weapon, but it's not a weapon.
I mean, the thing couldn't cut paper if you ask me.
Yeah.
But
It has a point.
That sounds so
it was,
cool.
Yeah, it was a cool time explaining to these guys, hey, it's a championship trophy, and on top of that, it's a skydiving championship trophy.
Yeah.
So yeah.
So when was that you made that?
2022.
So it's been used already. I mean, it's been presented.
Yeah. We ended up taking the original name placards of the team names and transferring them to the new one. So there are now 7 of those. It's been 14 years since the creation of the original trophy, and then this will be the 8th time that somebody gets to put their name on it.
That's so cool. That's really neat. And where is it right now? Who has it?
It's in our garage.
That's awesome, dude.
Yeah.
You got it.
Yeah, it's in the case. Steph and I aren't big into like our home, other than a few parachutists in the bathroom. You'd never know we were skydivers when you come visit. We're just not big into putting that stuff up on the wall, but we still have it.
But you have it. That's cool, man.
Yeah.
Very cool.
Yeah.
Well, before we go on to the other skydiving stuff, Raj, would you hold the other thing that you made, that formation?
Oh yeah.
Anybody who's watching this, a lot of people don't watch live, but they watch on YouTube and Spotify. You showed this a minute ago before we started recording. If you're watching, if you can see that is all, those are wood pieces, like carved wood, to make that formation. Do you want to say anything about it or talk about it? Like,
yeah,
it just looks so cool.
Yeah, actually, it was also pictured in the last issue of Parachute as one of my pieces of artwork, which I made for the women's record, similar to that. But essentially, I take skydiving formations and I translate the formation diagram into pieces of wood, like basically wood layout, and then I color segments of wood. Mostly I color them based on the plane that jumpers are coming from. Okay. I've also colored them based on breakoff, but I have now settled on the plane colors. So each plane in the formation gets a different color, and then the jumpers who belong to that plane get a different color. That's what makes it much more colorful and more meaningful. And so it's laser cut, laser engraved. The hard work is in actually designing it. So skydive design has to be redrawn to fit into wood pieces, and then you actually have to take each piece and glue it into place and make sure it looks like this.
Yeah, that's really neat, man. That's very cool.
Thank you.
Very, very cool.
Yeah, we've gotten a bunch of his artwork, like posters with rotating airplane configurations and just some really creative stuff. He made these
if you rotate them, skydivers fall out of the plane.
Turn it at a little bit of an angle because it's kind of white. It's hard to see.
You see the little skydivers falling out of the bottom?
You're kind of offset from the camera a little bit.
Okay.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah.
But I don't know if it's just my video. It's
kind of blurry. Yeah.
I think the lighting for some reason.
Yeah.
But we've got cutting boards. We've got little boxes that you can put little treasures in, rings or whatever. We've got some really cool stuff over the years.
Yeah. So we'll get to skydiving in a minute, but this is fun. What is it about woodworking that you enjoy, Raj? What drew you to that? What do you?
It's a creative outlet. I think in general I'm a creative person, so woodworking is a creative outlet. So allows me to exercise design as well as shaping of wood. And it is a natural form that you can shape by hand or with tools. It's up to you, but there's a good feel when you touch wood, and I think that's what's probably drawn me to that.
That's cool. Do you ever feel that in skydiving, that creative outlet?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, that's so. As we'll get into the story, going from newbie to a small record organizer, it has allowed me to exercise some of that creative. Obviously, looking to exercise it more, but I don't have the chops yet.
Yeah, that's cool. Very cool. All right. Well, JRuss?
Yeah. So one more time, just to reiterate that we talked about what it's like to be the new guy, and Raj volunteered to share some thoughts. And normally I have a blitz of questions to follow, but honestly, like I said, I remember my first record, but it's quite a while ago, and I think it's better just to let him share his thoughts, and hopefully I'll think of some more questions.
Yeah.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, I'm happy to step in. So I think, as JRuss mentioned, the genesis of this conversation was exactly the podcast you guys had a few weeks ago. But then Jason and Stephanie, first of all, I want to thank Jason and Stephanie, right? I am here talking to you as a capable and as a qualified vertical big wave skydiver, thanks to them. They've invested a lot of their time and effort and energy in coaching me, and I consider them as my mentors. They know it, but I owe them a big thank you. So there's a public thank you to them. But that being said, they're very, very accomplished. They've been on umpteen records. For them, a 40-way or a 60-way or a 100-way is probably just another skydive. They don't come to that event thinking, I wish this plane is canceled. I wish the clouds show up. I just wish we never get to jump. I wish the winds pick up. They don't get that feeling. I still get that feeling sometimes, right? So I'm like, I'm here, but I don't want to jump. Right? And they probably don't get those sweaty palms. They don't get that. It's like, I think, in a corny way, it's like you see that girl you have a crush on. You really want to talk to her, but you don't want to talk to her, kind of thing.
Yes.
So that's the newbie feeling. Like when that girl comes to talk to you, you just like you want to merge with the wall. You don't want to exist. And that's exactly I think the feeling that I had when I went to my first few big way attempts. Is like, oh, I'm going to do a big way, but then they're putting us in the mock planes and in the loading order, and I'm like, I just wish the clouds just covered up and we don't get to jump at all.
Yeah.
Right.
That's funny.
So that's, I think, yeah. So what I wanted to share that feeling while it's still fresh. Yeah. As he mentioned, I've been in the circuit for 5+ years now. So I am not the new guy anymore, but I still vividly remember, and I want to share that so that I think we need more new blood in vertical big wave skydiving now more than ever. For some reason, over the last few years, we've not been able to grow the ranks as much as we would like to, and I'm hoping that through podcasts like yours and through conversations like this, people out there who maybe are on the fence about getting into vertical big wave realize that it's very well within their reach. If someone like me can do it, they can do it, and there's a pathway to doing it. And here are the ups and downs of that pathway, and I share my story to them, and hopefully we end up with a few more skydivers in the next big wave attempts. That makes the difference for us in achieving some of these big waves.
Well, I want to respond to what you just said, because I've never been on a big way, not a true big way jump, and it's intimidating. Like thinking about 150 or 200 or however many, 80, even 80, like guys all getting together to go do this jump. They're all really good flyers, very experienced skydivers. Like that sounds really intimidating. So when you say what you're talking about, like, oh, I wish the clouds would come, or I don't know if I really want to do this. Like, I totally get it, dude. And even before that, like, even taking the step to reach out to someone and say, hey, can I come to this camp, or can I be a part of this, or I want to learn how to do that. That just sounds intimidating. And for me, like, I'm talking about me, to hear you, Raj, say, we need new blood. We want new, like, we want more people to, that right there, you saying that out loud, that makes me like, oh, okay, I want to jump with Raj. Like, okay, yeah, JRuss, Raj, can I get involved in this? Like, just knowing that you guys want us involved makes a big difference. So that's really nice to hear. Like, that is very, very nice to hear that y'all want new, younger, less experienced skydivers so that we can learn, we can grow, we can get better, and we can be a part of it. That's awesome, man. I'm really glad you said that.
Yeah, thank you. And the journey starts for me actually. I started skydiving in 2006. 2005 is when I graduated, but it was late in the year. So 2006 was my actual first full year of skydiving. And that was the year that I was at Skydive Chicago, and I was doing ground screw for Summerfest. And JRuss doesn't remember, but I saw him. He was there for the 69 way. They were trying to set a head down record, 69 way. This was pre-proliferation of iFly. You only had 3 tunnels in the country. You had Arizona, Paris, and Orlando. So you didn't have this huge amount of skill set out there. The true head down flyers had to have thousands of jumps. And by definition, you were a super. And I mean a true super, right? And I did ground screw for that 69 way. I was the guy swapping oxygen tanks in and out of the plane. And, I heard that 69 way fall out of the sky, and that sound I will forever remember. That is a sound you cannot forget. It's unlike any other thing. I mean, it's like a jet engine just falling through the sky. And then, I don't know back then, JRuss, I don't know if you guys had the 90s only restrictions, but maybe it was a little bit more liberal than these days, because I remember guys just swooping around the hangar, and I'm like, oh my God, where did these guys come from, right? And you're talking about truly like next level skydivers. Like today you go to the 200 way, maybe 50% of the skydivers are at that level, but at that 69 way you had to be at God status to be on
like
that.
Truly elite.
Truly elite. Like there was, because you didn't have the tunnels, you didn't have any way to up your skill set other than through making 1,000 skydives. And good or bad, I mean that's what it was back then. And I was looking at these guys and I was like, I want to be like that. And the pathway to that was very daunting, because obviously you had to invest a lot in jumping. You couldn't just go and cheat like you can today with the tunnels. It's a good cheat, but you couldn't do that. You couldn't do that back then. And so my journey, I started free flying, I was sit flying, and like many other skydivers out there, my skills just stagnated. Like, you just go out, it's a zoo skydive full of sit flying. Everybody was in one corner of the sky, spending the entire 60 seconds just trying to get to one guy. And so my skill set stagnated there for about, I want to say 10 years. And as a result, interest diminished, and other distractions in life, family, kids, other hobbies took on. Until 2015, when they set the 164 way, and I saw the Red Bull video of that. Like Red Bull made a short clip of the 164 way. It's on YouTube, and it was so slick, it was so well done, that I was like, okay, I need to be on the next one. I mean, I have all this time and energy spent in the sport, and I haven't accomplished anything. And I like to say, okay, good or bad, I like to accomplish something out of the time and energy. And so that's when I really started getting serious about upping my skills. By then, the iFlies have come around the world. You could find one everywhere. So I was able to get in the tunnel, start flying head down. And I started flying head down, I want to say 2016, January, in the January-March timeframe. And JRuss and Steph had a skills camp in 2017 for a 40-way. They had a 40-way skills camp. I started flying head down 2017 January March, and they had a 40-way skills camp at Skydive Chicago at that time. And here's me thinking, okay, I can fly head down in the tunnel means I can fly 40 ways. I go to these people's camp, and as I said, I'm like sweaty. I'm like, holy cow, I don't know what I'm doing here, right? And 3 jumps into it, JRuss calls me and says, "You are cut from the big way. You go be with the medium way. The medium way is like a 4-way. It's basically me, JRuss, and 2 other guys." And I was so disappointed by it. So he gives a report card. So I think Rook says it best, right? He says it, skydiving is something you do for fun, and then you go to big ways and you start getting judged, right? And it suddenly is no longer fun. Like it's a different kind of fun. It's a pressure. Like somebody's judging you at what you do for fun, and now like you're like, oh my god. So JRuss gives me a report card. I have the report card actually. I pull it up later on. So it's 1, 2, 3. 1 means you're ready. You're ready for the big way.
Okay.
3 means you need work. JRuss gives me a 4, which means don't come back.
No way. JRuss, come on, man.
I'm just kidding.
So
he didn't do that.
mean.
He didn't do that. He
didn't do that, did he? Did he really do that?
He gave me a 3.
Oh, he gave you a 3. Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
But you clearly knew he meant it's a 4.
Yeah. He's like, I would give you a 4 if I could.
So me being as competitive as I am, I go back the whole flight back to Seattle brooding, like I'm better than this. I'm better than this. I can't believe I got a 3 on this report card. And I go back home. I brood over the videos. I mean, it was so bad. My performance was so bad. I think on one of the jumps, Jim Harris, who was the camera guy, had to tell me which way to fly because I was flying the completely opposite direction.
Oh, man. Yeah, okay.
Right? I'm supposed to be diving, but I'm looking up there, wondering where the formation is. And Jim's got his hand in the camera saying the formation's down there.
Oh, no. So it was a 4. You did get a 4. You got a 4.
So that was my beginning, right? It was that disastrous. It was like horrible. And the only takeaway from that is at least I didn't get called out for any safety violations. I think that was it. That was the one positive from that is I was so out of the picture that I couldn't even be a safety violation, right? But okay, so I come back home, I'm brooding, and then I'm like, okay, I'm going to do something about this. I write to JRuss and Steph and say, I want coaching. I want a full weekend of coaching. I don't care what it's going to cost. I don't care what it takes, but I want unlimited coaching over a Saturday and Sunday. And 2 weekends later, I'm back at Skydive Chicago with JRuss coaching me on all the basics of big way, how to dive out of a plane, what a floating picture looks like. And, so you start getting the fundamentals. So the fundamentals are getting put in place, but it's a 2-way. At the end of it, maybe it's a 3-way with Stephanie involved in it, but that's it, right? But at least now I'm starting to work out, okay, this is what I need to work on. This is what's, right or wrong about it. And I started seeking out multiple camps, like, okay, this small big way camp. Fortunately, 2017 was the year before the big way, 200 ways. So there were a lot of small camps. People were prepping up for it. And so I was able to seek out a lot of 10-way camps, 8-way camps, just finding people at the drop zone, and practicing with them. And the biggest piece of advice he gave me was do VFS. And I had such a tough time finding 4 people or 3 people to do VFS with that we found 3 newbies. 4 newbies, including myself, 4 newbies to do VFS. But one guy was a true newbie. He only had 60 jumps, but he had a ton of tunnel time. And we were all trying to do VFS together. We started thinking, we started looking at these VFS pictures and thinking, okay, this is probably how it is. Everybody turns 180 every time because the picture says you have to be turning 180, not realizing that this your hand has to do 180 and stuff. And then we got JRuss and Steph to come professionally coach us, and they were like, you guys have no clue what you're doing, right? Here's how you actually do this. But then it became a serious thing. And as he said, our team, we went to Paraclete. We won a gold out there in the indoor competition, ultimately resulting in a silver at US Nationals. And, very proud of the team, very thankful to my teammates for being together. It was even today we still get together every once in a while. We talk. We're very good friends, all of us. We all have families now. We all have graduated to the next stage of life at this point, but I still remember that very fondly.
Raj, I want to ask you, because I have recommended VFS to a few people, and I've got my reasons, but I'm curious if you could quantify what you think VFS did for you in terms of your big way abilities.
Yeah, absolutely. I think number one thing that VFS does is it removes the fear of proximity flying, right? I can fly in close quarters without being afraid of corking or having contact. I find a lot of newcomers to big wave skydiving always are trying to keep a distance because they're afraid if they get close, there's going to be a burble or there's going to be some contact, and then they're going to just fly out of the formation. Doing VFS allows you to realize that a little contact doesn't really do too much harm. You can fly through contact. It coaches you, and it gives you the skills and the ability to fly through contact. That is number one. Number two thing is I think JRuss told me very early on in my big way adventure is that 90% of the time in a big way, in a 200 way, you're going with 10 people and you're leaving with 10 people. That's all you see. Yeah, there's 190 people out there, but they're all out there. You are focused on the 10 people you go in with and the 10 people you come out with. And that's 4-way, so those 4 people or the 5 people with the camera, that 5 people you're going in with and you're coming out with. And it gives you that ability, that focus. Okay, this is where they are. This is how you go in. And I think that's a really good thing. Last thing I would say is transitions. Ability to execute transitions fast gives me more confidence that if I were to cork or do something were to happen in a big way, I can transition back rapidly, as opposed to very early on, if I were to cork out, okay, I'm out of the skydive. That confidence VFS gave me. I would say those are the 3 things.
That's really good. JRuss, can you just briefly talk about the report card? And I mean, it sounds.
I should bring it up.
Yeah, if you actually have it, that would be.
I have it.
Because I don't know. I don't know if some people, maybe newer to skydiving or younger, less experienced, they might think, oh, that sounds harsh, or they might think, oh, that's mean, or what. But can you talk to us, JRuss?
Can you see my screen?
The value of that kind of thing and why it's necessary to be harsh and to be honest. It's not about being harsh; it's about being honest, right? Is that?
Yeah, it's not. But Raj is right. It's difficult sometimes for people when they first start going to any kind of big way. That there's sort of there's almost a logical disconnect for some people when they go. Like I'm paying registration and I'm paying for organizers and coaches and video flyers so that my skills can be evaluated and maybe I can be part of the record, but especially in the beginning when you're not used to that sort of judgment, it can feel bad for people. And I've heard that before. And just as Raj said, Rook does say it pretty well. Like suddenly your hobby, your fun thing becomes like a point of judgment, and so it's just something to get used to. That you need the feedback. You're there for the feedback, and for some people, they end up, to be honest, being a little bit defensive. And if you're going to be part of the group, you just got to be accustomed to breaking down your flying and looking at it critically.
Yeah.
Which to continue Raj's talk about VFS, that is part and parcel what you're doing in VFS. You're trying to get better, and you're looking at the moves that you make and the transitions you make and how your team flies together and trying to pick it apart and put it back together in a better way.
Yeah.
And so that just that, where if you approach your VFS time with a level of sincerity, you're going to be ready for someone to critique you in the big way.
Yeah.
Yeah. Can you see my screen?
Yes, we can.
Yeah. So the right side is my very first report card. right? So, so it was, yeah, this was the report card that was like, it was hard for me to swallow. I mean, obviously everybody has egos, like he mentioned, right? But I was like, okay, I got this, I'm better than this. And this is 2021, the very first tryout on the road to the 2022 record. And, obviously still room for improvement, but much better than the 2017 record.
Yeah, so these are older report cards, and they've been modified a couple of times, and we're actually getting ready to put out a little bit more in-depth report card, but no fours. I would never put a four. No way.
Yeah, I'm sure he would if he could, at least to me. But yeah, so so I think the journey is, as JRuss mentioned, it's about putting the time, putting the effort. I really wanted to be on the big way. It has been a lifelong desire. It still is a desire. I've been on attempts, so it still remains a desire. But that desire fueled my energy towards seeking coaching from JRuss, from Steph, from Andy Malchiodi, from Sarah Curtis, all the big names you can think of, and seeking out any and every camp out there, right? On the road to the 2018 record attempts, as he mentioned, I attended all the core camps. I attended all the Arizona camps. I even went all the way to Czech Republic to attend a European camp. And along the way, I learned some things about how to be the new guy, and that's what I'm hoping people listening will understand, that it's not so challenging to be the new guy at these camps. Organizers recognize you, organizers welcome you, organizers want you to be there, right? We always want the OG because the OG is good. They give strength to the formation, but honestly, we need new blood. Without new blood, we can't scale. We can't build the 200. It's just not there. And I think now more than ever, vertical big wave skydiving needs that, right? I think our numbers are hurting, so we really need new blood to step in and realize how cool this discipline is. There's a lot of possibilities here. It is difficult. It is not easy, but with that challenge comes a very, very satisfying record. I can't tell you the only official record I've actually ever been part of is a Washington 33 way. That is the only record it's an official record that I've been part of. And even that 33 way is so satisfying when you get it after 7 or 8 attempts. It might as well be a 200 way. That feeling, the energy, the excitement, we did something. That is so cool. And I'm sure it's the same whether it's a belly way, a head up way, or a head down way, doesn't matter, or even a wingsuit way. The feeling of accomplishing something in unison with your fellow skydivers, not necessarily competing against them, but jointly with them, that feeling I know it's so cliche, right? Everybody says you can't describe it, but it is something that is extremely joyful.
Yeah, that's awesome.
So I was writing down a couple of questions, not trying to be lack of present, but normally I have pen and paper, and I forgot to set myself up with paper, so I had to write them on my phone. So you kind of touched on something that Chris had said about, man, the idea of being out in the sky with 100 people or 150 people or 200 people, whatever, is intimidating. And then Raj said something that I believe strongly, which is, yes, you can get intimidated about it. And when you see the video, say the 200 way, and there's 10 planes in formation and just this flood of people falling out of the plane, that does intimidate people, I think. And it probably should. However, I strongly agree with what Raj says, that you're aware that there's people around, but it's just that 8 or 10 people that you're flying next to that you approach each time. And I mean, sometimes there's swaps out, if people need to take a break, but generally you're seeing the same people on every jump. You get quite comfortable with them right away. You're riding up in the plane. Everybody sits in the exact same seat. You're joking around with those people in the walk, and there could be people on the other side of the formation that you might know that they're on it, but you might not interact with them much the whole event. And so even as intimidating as 200 people might seem, it's kind of like you're doing a 10-way and you dock in your spot. The other thing that I think is real helpful about VFS, and hopefully Raj can agree, is that for some people, getting to a big way and like actually taking the dock on a formation can be challenging, as surprising as that might seem. But when you've done VFS and you're doing 8, 10, 20 points in 35 seconds and touching your teammates all the time, the idea of taking one dock on a 60-second skydive is not nearly as daunting.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think a good example to illustrate that is I am a right-hand dominant person. And if you go to a big wave camp, you'll always find people, can I swap with you? Because, I'm better with my right hand. I'm not good with my left hand. Until you do VFS and you realize half the docks are taken out with your left hand. It's a left hand first stinger isn't any more different, right? It's like when you do VFS, you're doing a lot of left hand docks in close quarters with very little room. Actually, on a big wave, everybody's more stretched out. In VFS, you're more close, so you're always touching with your left hand or your right hand. And when you start realizing that, okay, my left hand works just as well as my right hand, then you're like, okay, just put me wherever you want. I can do both my left or my right hand. And I think so. So as you go through this journey of your big wave journey, a lot of people, one of the questions I always had is, when am I really ready? When have I arrived on the stage? And I think for me personally, the answer was when I lost fear of the most fearful slot on a big wave, which is the bridge. Right? It is the hardest slot, in my opinion. Others can have other opinions, but the bridge is the hardest slot because you're flying in very close proximity with possibly a lot of foot traffic. And if you can fly that slot, if you're not afraid of that slot, then in my opinion, you have arrived. Fortunately for me, I've got long arms, so I can isolate myself from the bridge fairly well, right? But there are instances where the bridge collapses and then you get dragged into the bridge or the pod and you have collisions and then you cork out. But I think there was a point where I was like, I actually like the bridge. And when you get to that level of comfort, then you can say, okay, you have started to understand the dynamics of big wave. But getting there is because of VFS, because of the high impact, high contact nature of VFS, right? So yeah, I'm colliding feet all the time with my teammates, and I'm not going to cork out just because I'm suddenly finding sandwiched by two other guys. So that confidence came through VFS.
What the phrase or the word that came to my mind listening to both of you guys talk about VFS and what it did for you or what it does for people: confidence based in reality. That's what it made me think of. Mm-hmm. Because I've been confident that I could join a skydive before, and it was like completely out of reality. Like, no way. I can remember. Yeah. So confidence based in reality.
So Raj, some of the questions I wrote down. The next one that I wanted to ask, how did you feel that the reception was from the organizers when you were new, and how or did it change over time?
Yeah, I think obviously, I had asked JRuss and Steph to mentor me. So of all the organizers, JRuss and Steph knew me the most. So they could. I think a good story to say is I had gone to Europe. So on the lead up to the 2018 attempts, I had made probably 200 skydives exclusively focusing on big wave, just big wave. Right. So I sought out as many jumps as I could about big wave and do it. And it was a last chance tryout in Chicago. And we had weather, but we got a couple of 60-way jumps in. And there was this one attempt where the base left early, and the whole plane, I was in the right trail plane, and the whole plane was lost except me. Because of the currency that I had, I knew where the base was, and I zoomed in there. And I got down from that jump, and everybody said, "You're going to get an invite." The very next jump, the base was late. So the whole plane was a floater plane. And here I am beaming with confidence, trying to rush to my slot. I ended up overfloating and losing my invite, right? And again, I'm at this feeling where that's the last chance tryout. There's no more invites after this, right? And I'm like, I've done all this effort, all this money, all this time just to screw it up because I tried to hotshot it. I would have been better off had I not tried to zoom and race. If I had not made my slot, it would have been I would have still gotten the invite, as opposed to trying to hotshot it to my slot and then make a big mistake. And this is where I think experience is a good teacher, because you cannot learn that at any camp. You cannot learn that the base is going to come out late or the base is going to come out early. That just comes through doing hundreds and hundreds of big wave skydives. And how you respond to that. What is your natural reaction? Now my natural reaction is I would rather be missing from the formation than being the guy everybody zooms in on camera, right? That's just me. But I would rather, that's my experience there. And this is what experience teaches me. But to Jason's earlier question, so Jason and Steph knew me, and they knew that I was better than that, and I would learn from that lesson, and I wouldn't repeat that mistake again. But obviously other organizers didn't know that, and so I had to prove myself. So at the 2018 attempts, it is a very funny story because we already had weather, and it was for the first time, I think the very first time, that we had a parallel bench team jumping alongside the record team. Prior to 2018, the bench team just sat on the ground while the record team did all the jumps. And then in 2018, that was changed. So I was doing 40 ways constantly with the bench team. And it was attempt number 8 that the record had gone up for. It was already weathered out, so it was Thursday, or it was Wednesday. And I was like, okay, they probably settled on the team. I'm not going to get my chance. I put my rig down after bench jump number 8, and I was going to go find JRuss and tell him that, JRuss, thank you for taking your time and investing in me, but I understand this is not my year. I'll come back next year. Just as I put my rig down to the Packers, I look up and Rook's standing next to me, and he's like, put your rig on. You're on the next attempt. And here I'm like, shit, I don't want to be part of the next attempt. I don't want, right? And I'm like, I've been waiting all this time for my chance. And as soon as he tells me it's your chance, and he personally comes up to me and says, put your rig on. It's your chance now. I'm like, shit, I don't want this. I don't want this. Right? And then Jason's like, hounding me. He's like, where's your rig? Like, Packers got it. Just go to the dirt dive. I don't care. Just go to the dirt dive. He's trying to hustle me to my slot. And so here's another thing that helps. Because I had been to all these camps, because I had been to Europe, I'm already late to the big way. I'm joining the big way on attempt number 9. So these people have already had 9 attempts, 9 looks at the formation. I'm coming in fresh. But I was in the European plane, and all these guys knew me from my one camp in Europe. So they were all like, just follow me. Don't worry about it. Just follow me. There's a guy called Khan, who, I became really good friends with him. He's from Turkey. And he's like, Raj, you're docking on me. Just follow me. I know exactly where you have to go. So I'm just looking at his red helmet, and I'm seeing where the red helmet is going. I'm going right there. So again, I think this is something Jason and Rook say often at the camps. The record is the record, but the friendships I've made, the journey that's brought me here, is far more valuable. I didn't get my desire fulfilled in 2018. I didn't get my desire fulfilled in 2022. But you know what I missed the most? Like, I was in tears at the end of 2022, not because we didn't get the record, because I won't see these guys for another 2-3 years. And some of them will just drop out of the sport, and I won't see them ever again. Right? And that, to me, is more meaningful than getting a certificate. In all honesty, the record is for my ego. The journey is for my soul.
Naturally, I have more questions. So, what would you say? Let's say the 200 weight attempts. What was the worst part?
Which 200 weight? 2018 or 2022?
Either one. What's the downside of the big waves for you?
I haven't been cut, but I saw very good people being cut, and I'm like, why? I mean, there was an extremely qualified skydiver. There's no way I'm even his his left pinky finger. Like, he's that good. And to see that guy sitting on the bench all of a sudden, I'm like, that's like this gulp going down my throat. So it's that fear of performance, good way, good and bad. There's good and bad side to it. So the fear of not performing is so you have three kinds of fears on the big way. You have the fear of safety. Am I going to live through this, right? Because there's multiple things that can happen, not just the skydive, but other things as well, or logistically, all that. Then you have the fear of performance, and then you have the fear of judgment, right? And you think you performed, but judgment thinks otherwise. And I think so. To answer your question, JRuss, I think sometimes judgment isn't fully transparent, maybe for a good reason. But that's probably what I would say as one downside. But I understand as an organizer. I was an organizer briefly for a very, very small record. I understand the pressure that these guys are under. They have to shuffle 200 moving pieces, and I understand the pressure they are under. But sometimes to somebody who's invested 5 years trying to get that one record, to be told we judged you as not being good enough, that could be perceived as being harsh. That's all.
Yeah. I have no answer. And I think I know who you're talking about as far as the really good skydiver who sat down. And it happens. People make mistakes.
Yeah.
And so when you organized the Washington record, what was the hardest part? What was the easiest part?
So Washington record had a couple of challenges. I should probably turn my lights on. I think I'm getting dark here. So give me 1 second. There you go.
That's way better.
Way better.
It is Washington. Lights too good. But so in Washington record, we had a couple of unique challenges. We originally planned a 40-way, and then we lost the order on the warm-up day. It had an engine issue, so we lost the order. So we were down to 2 caravans. So right off the bat, I had to cut 7 people who didn't even make a mistake, who didn't even have a chance to make a mistake. I had to go have a conversation with these 7 people saying that we are removing you from the record because we don't have capacity suddenly. So it is what it is, but had to have that. The second challenge is my first time organizing, and I had to redraw the formation because the order, you could make it a diver heavy, or you could balance out between divers and floaters. The caravans at the drop zone that we were organizing, one of them had fixed benches, so you couldn't really have divers coming out of there. So it had to be a floater heavy formation. So I had to redraw that to be floater heavy. So I was redrawing this at 2 a.m. in the morning and planning everything, getting it verified, submitting it, all of those things. Give me a second. Excuse me. And then there were a couple of issues with jumper performance, having those conversations. So that's why I said I completely understand what you're going through. I had to maybe have a conversation with 2 people. You may have to have a conversation with 35 people. So I understand what you have to do. Those were some of the challenges.
What was the easiest part? This is kind of a trick question, but my easiest part of the record, I'm hoping that you can
jumping out of the airplane.
I mean,
yeah,
I'm in the base. I'm in the base. Like I'm taking
nobody's
JRuss'
talking
slot.
to you. Nobody's asking you any questions. You don't have to talk to the judges. You're not going to cut anybody or slot anybody in. Yeah. You just do the thing that you can do. It's the easiest part of any record.
Yeah, I'm just in the base. I'm setting direction. I wouldn't say it's easy, but it's easier than many other parts of the record.
Was your Washington record completely invitational?
It was completely invitational.
Okay.
Yes.
So I was thinking about that when you said, one of the things about being the new guy is the reception that you get from the organizers. And of course, organizers are different in the way that they handle new people. So we just did the head up camp. There were two guys from Spain, Ricardo and Davida, who I'd never met before. And good guys, good flyers. But one of the things that we try and do at our camps, that I'm not sure happens at every camp, maybe it does, is when we don't know people, we want to not just slot them on the outside where they never get to do anything, which was kind of the commonplace in the past. Those guys both were first stingers on the formation at one time or the other, so that we could see what they can do. How can they fly? How's the transition? So I guess I was wondering if you had total newbies on the Washington record, how you approached that, but it sounds like you knew everybody.
No, we didn't have total newbies, but we had people who've maximum done a 16 way or an 18 way, and so we slotted them appropriately for that, like in appropriate areas so that they could. So our primary goal was that at least 50% were native to the Pacific Northwest. So it wasn't just everybody from outside coming into Washington to set a Washington record. We tried to build up talent so that at least 50% of the skydivers on the Washington record were from the greater Pacific Northwest, and then 50% came from outside.
So I know that, I mean, I can guess at the answer, but I just wanted to hear you touch on your level of satisfaction with the journey, acknowledging that the 200 way didn't happen.
Completely satisfied. Like I said, I was in tears at the end of the 2022 journey. So JRuss knows this. My wife gives me the stern look whenever I want to say I want to go big way skydiving. Obviously, she's concerned for my safety and all of those things. And I had promised her that I would give up big way skydiving after the 2022 attempts. But when she saw me in tears at the end of the 2022 skydiving attempts, she understood how much I liked it. And it was not about getting or not getting the record. It was about, I'm not going to see Khan for another 3-4 years. I may not see JRuss for another 3-4 years. I don't see these I see JRuss and Steph more often than other skydivers, but there are a lot of people who I only see on the circuit, on the big way circuit. And I will not see them for 3-4 years, and some of them will retire, and some of them will probably exit the sport or exit this discipline. And that's a challenge for us. We do a poor job at retaining talent compared to, say, the belly guys or some other folks. We need to answer that. But my fear is that I will miss these folks and the friendships and the bonding that we have developed over this journey. Like, you go to every camp and you meet Paulo from Brazil, and Paulo comes to me and says that, every time a new guy in Brazil wants to join big way, he's like, look at Raj, look at his journey. And I may not see Paulo again for 3-4 years. And that's the hard part for me. It's not, I wrote to Rook and said, I really don't care we didn't get the 200 way. It would have been nice, but I'm going to miss the camp. I'm going to miss the atmosphere. I'm going to miss us joking at each other, trash talking JRuss or whatever.
So wait, what did your wife say? You didn't finish.
TBD.
Spoken like a true married man. Yeah.
So there's hope.
There is hope.
Okay, good.
I at least I want to. My goal is impart the knowledge JRuss and Steph have given me, through my coaching in the big way. I want to impart that to as many folks here. And this is a talk not just to share my journey, but also to appeal to all OGs out there, saying that we need to step up. We need to step up and bring in new blood, because we OGs can do better. And as much as we like big way skydiving, there won't be big way skydiving if there is a new blood. So we this is not just a message for new people out there, but there's also a message for experienced folks to come back in and share their wealth of knowledge with new folks out there.
Yeah.
For the people who aren't, a lot of the backroom stuff that is going on in the head up record and the head down record right now is is searching for exactly that. What ways can we find that to rekindle the interest from people who are super good flyers, the JRusses and the Brian Giles and the guys that are capable of doing this on a moment's notice, but have moved on to other things or lost interest. How can we get those back? So there's definitely the knowledge that with what you're saying that we need to, and there's an effort going on to work on that.
Was there something in the chat?
It is.
Okay.
It has been part of the chat for a long time. There's been a few different Zoom meetings and a bunch of emails and texts and things like that. And, you're correct that we need the new people as well. We need them to be excited, but we need to get back some of the talent that has departed our company. We'll see. Yeah. What do you got, Chris?
No, man, that's really good. I'm really glad that we're able to talk through this stuff. I think it's good to hear kind of some of that behind the scenes stuff, and from the perspective of someone starting at the beginning and going through and what it was like for them. I think that's really, it's helpful. It's helpful for me. It's really interesting. That hearing Raj's story, that makes me want to get involved more, especially when you talk about like just the joys of like the camaraderie and the everybody working together and the laughter and the fun and the tears and I'm sure frustration, but all of it, like everybody working towards that same goal. That sounds the judgment and the pressure, that doesn't sound super awesome. But
there's very little that JRuss doesn't catch. So, like there was this camp, I think it was at Sebastian. So it was the first tryout at Sebastian for the 2022 attempts. So we had we had good weather. So we had 10 jumps. 9 jumps, we were just breaking off on our own. Like we didn't have a leader. We would just go on our own ways on break off. On the 10th jumps, he says there's a leader. So you just follow this guy and you follow him. My brain's turned off. It's the 10th jump of the camp. So I just forget that he told me to follow the leader. And I go and create a safety violation. Not an egregious one, but could have been an egregious one. But basically there was some crossing on break off. And it was on the corner of the screen, right? I saw it and I was like, maybe he didn't see it because he was like at the very corner of the screen. He's busy critiquing everyone else. And then he just unloads on me. He just, probably because he cares for me so much, but he just unloads on me like at the end of like it's the last briefing at Sebastian. And he just unloads like full on me. I'm like, oh my shit, dude.
I probably needed a sandwich.
Yeah.
He was hangry.
Yeah. But he's doing the right thing. He's watching out for me, right? He's like, do not do this. And this is why. Very, 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 very like it's an obscure corner of the screen and he caught it, right? And that tells you that his experience, he's watching like all parts of the screen. I'm only watching myself, right? I'm looking for myself. Okay, where am I? Did I do good? Did I do bad? If I did bad, I hope he doesn't see it, kind of thing. But he catches all of that.
Yeah, but that's what we want, right? I mean, we want, and that's what your wife wants.
Exactly. Yeah.
Like we want people leading us and organizing and planning these things that are gonna get onto us when we screw up and say, "Hey, no, don't. That's not okay. Do not do that again." Because then that means we get to do it again, right?
Exactly.
Like we actually get to go again.
Yeah.
It's an interesting point, though, that I like to bring up at a lot of our skills camps of guys, you're going to make mistakes. That's what you're here for. We're here to try and catch those mistakes and point out the way you can do it better. But at the record, if you make a mistake, just go ahead and let the organizers figure it out. You don't need to run up to them and tell them that you made a mistake so they can start looking for you, which is crazy. Like, so many people do that to me. And in the past, I don't think it's going to work this way this time, but I've been the person that's been cutting people for a few different records now. And like, I don't know if I'm the person that you want to run up to and say, oh God, I made a mistake. Like, just let us figure it out.
Yeah. Rook has a funny way of saying it, right? Like, I remember my first camp with Rook, and he's like, in your professional opinion, where exactly are you on the screen? And I'm like, I'm maybe 15 feet off that screen because I'm nowhere near the formation.
Rook's got a business to run, though. He can't cut people, so I gotta. Someone else has to do it.
Yeah. Well,
right.
this has been great. You anything else, JRuss? Anything on your mind?
No, I knocked out all my questions, and I'm happy that some of Raj's experiences mimic some of my own.
Yeah. All right. Well, I guess it's time, huh?
Yeah, it's been more than an hour. That went by so fast.
Yeah. Well, you've done it again. You've wasted another perfectly good hour listening to Chris and JRuss and Raj this week. Raj, thank you so much for being
Thank
with
you
us,
for having
man.
me.
It wasn't a waste, Raj. Thanks for.
Thank you.
No, it's definitely not a waste. It's really
Cool.
good. If you're listening, we're really thankful for everybody listening, for our audience, and we really hope that you guys are getting stuff out of this, that it's a benefit and a blessing to you, that you're learning. And like we've said in the past, please leave us a comment, send us a Facebook message or Instagram message if you have topics or things that you want us to cover. You have suggestions for people that you think might be interesting to have on the show as a guest. We would love to hear from you guys, or just comments. Just let us know that you're out there and enjoying it. It's good, or that it's totally dumb and we need to shut up. Tell us that too.
I'll be quiet.
No, get out there, get in an airplane, jump out of an airplane, have fun with your friends. Remember why we skydive. It's just so fun, man. So fun. So much joy. So have fun, enjoy the sky, crave, do more, be better. Raj, thank you so much. JRuss, thank you.
Thanks, guys.
All right. Bye,
Thank you.
guys.